welcome to the Revenue Insights podcast again this week. This time, I'm joined by Evan Liang. He's the CEO and co-founder of LeanData. Evan, great to have you on.
Great to be here.
So let's start with the simple stuff. What's your story? And can you tell us a little bit more about who LeanData are and what you do?
Yeah, certainly. LeanData story started about 10 years ago. Came from my own personal pain points at my last company. I was a general manager in charge of a division and an inside sales team. And we were bringing on this new whiz-bang technology called marketing automation back then. Yeah, this was over a decade ago.
Yeah.
And we just ran into a whole lot of problems getting those systems to work well together. There were data challenges, process challenges, and I wasn't getting the ROI from the investment I had made in those technologies. And I tend to be a little bit more of a product-oriented, process-oriented by nature, and dug in and found that our data was a complete, as industry term, SS, complete shit show. And I didn't have the right processes to work. And so that was for me the light bulb moment where I realized, hey, as the SaaS ecosystems and sales and MarTech start evolving, I realized a lot of people were going to need technologies to make their data and processes more efficient in order to drive sales and marketing efficiencies. And in some respects, that's what led me to start LeanData.
I love that it's the very humble beginnings of where it came from, of just a very obvious problem, and we're going to go and build a solution for it. So I know that you guys are very much in the category creation space at the minute. So could you perhaps talk a little bit more to around, what data problems were you solving at the very beginning, and then all the way through to the type of things that you're doing now?
Absolutely. So when we first started and you talk about like dirty data and you talk to people back then, they'd be like, oh, I have a dupe problem, right? So they have duplicate leads or they need enrichment. And so in the very beginnings, think of us almost like we just go around like, do you have data challenges? We'll help you solve that. The vision had always been sales and marketing efficiencies, and we weren't stuck on exactly what we had to do to make that happen. So the first challenges we really solved were really around fuzzy matching. So back then, knowing that the same person, people relied on unique email address, and that creates an awful lot of problems because people have their Gmail account, they have their corporate email account, and those are the same person, right? So LeanData was kind of pioneered in terms of building fuzzy matching technology to allow you to figure out that those same email were same people, right? So that's kind of the first challenges we solved for our first year and a half. And then fortunately for us, again, our goals was how do we make sales and marketing teams more efficient? And two of our early clients, Marketo and Palo Alto Networks, came to us and were like, we love this fuzzy matching technology. Can you apply it to a different problem, which was really around that we have many lead to account matching issues? And we're like, what is that? And they were saying, hey, look, we have many people from the same company, and we'd like to treat them as one entity. This has solved the problem. Like if a customer comes to your website, you don't want to sell them something they already have. You want to know that they're a customer, even though they're net new name. You want to know that they're part of the same account. And so we helped use our fuzzy matching technology to help solve that for a number of companies who were really just at the cusp of ABM. So ABM was really not a thing back then. And we kind of saw the movement towards that industry, created kind of the lead to account matching category, help companies get onto that ABM bandwagon. And then since then, the company's really evolved to today. We're really talking about helping people around revenue orchestration. So again, helping people with sales and marketing efficiency, but really around orchestrating the revenue process. You have a pretty built out MarTech stack. We think of that as like creating a lot of demand signals. And then you have a built out sales tech stack, which automates a lot of those functionality. LeanData sits between and orchestrates. We're well known for lead routing or any object routing. And we really try to take your marketing signals and orchestrate and define a customer experience to how do you automate your sales plays and work with your sales team, your SDRs, your AEs, your channel partners, etc. So it's been quite an evolution. I think the key thing along the whole way is this. We taught about being customer first, understanding customer pain points with the end goal of really making their teams better. And with that mentality, we're always trying to innovate on behalf of our customer, and which kind of leads us to usually we're the first to try to solve problems for folks. So in the lead to account matching days, we solved it for 2 customers, and we went to some of our existing customers, and they were like, I didn't know anyone could do that. Yeah, I have the same pain point, right? And oftentimes you can't just ask people what they have. You have to almost, take some of the forward leaders and try to push the envelope constantly. And that's what we try to do here as a company.
I love that as a very beautiful kind of simple summary of, where you've gone from to get to where you are now. And something that I really want to dive into a little bit more, which I know you're really passionate about, is that customer first approach. So could you talk a bit more around, I think it's pretty obvious, like why you took that kind of approach to it, but how that really builds into what you do now as a business, and how, I guess also how that customer first approach starts to feed into all the different parts of your revenue process.
Absolutely. So the first part of that is just our mentality towards customers, especially in the like early days of, I mean, even the sales process, right? We don't try to. Our mentality is not to oversell and underdeliver. We tend to be very much like trying to in the discovery process, understanding customer needs. Making sure that we are always from a product perspective, a sales perspective. We in some respects undersell, and that sometimes hurts us in the market. But then on the flip side, when we implement and customers use us, they're like, wow, this actually delivers what you said, and it does more, right? And that builds that first sense from the customers that you are a partner, right? And you're not being salesy and just trying to oversell them something and just getting their dollars. And that builds obviously lifetime value and those type of things. The second step is really when you look at your implementation cycle perspective, we really try to early days, especially hire people who had a mentality around solving problems. So it's not about domain expertise or something. It's a certain curiosity. And when they're implementing with their customers, we really want them to be asking like, why? So you want to do this, but why do you want to do that? Because oftentimes a lot of our innovation comes from some customer trying to solve some pain point. We're like, listen, we've heard that 3 times now. Like maybe we need to have a solution for that, right? And that's a little bit different from folks who are just like, well, your contract says this, and therefore that's what we're going to do. And so in the early days when we were doing dedupe, we're like, dedupe is okay, but it's not really solving their key pain point, right? The people keep on saying it's dupe, but it's like, it's actually something else. You're not able to use your data to make the data actionable. That's what you want. It's not that, because they would be like, if I had a clean database, all my sales and marketing process, we're like, okay, that's a pipe dream, right? So no one ever has a clean database. And then once you clean it up, it gets dirty the next day. So your problems are actually a process problem. And that kind of led us into the matching and routing space, because we realized this is a more effective solution to solve. You're telling us this, but let me tell you, your actual pain point is that. And so that's from like a customer perspective, from a development and a strategy perspective. But then around that, because we've built a strong set of advocates, one of the things we measure here is customer virality. So virality is not just LTV is just how long the customer stays with you. Virality is how often someone takes you with them from company to company. Fortunately, a lot of our early customers were early adopters, fast growing tech companies. And so we literally have customers who bought us 4 to 5 times at different companies. And so they'll go to a new company and they'll literally call us 3 weeks later. It's like, I need LeanData in here. Send your sales rep, right? And that's great from a motion perspective, because obviously those folks know you and it's a faster cycle. But it's also really important because we were talking about we're in category creation. So oftentimes people aren't actively searching for this, so they have to almost experience it. But once they do, they absolutely love it, and they also serve as references and those type of things. And towards that, we've built an entire ecosystem, or a lot of our go-to-market is centered around driving that virality. I mean, we have a big conference called OpStars. That's the biggest sister company to Dreamforce. A big part of that is having our customers come together, meet each other. They love exchanging. They love changing best practices. That's also why we, especially in the ops community, we want to share best practices with our customers. Other things we've built is a certification system. Training is really important for these folks. And so being certified on LeanData, they wear it as a badge of honor. So especially our repeat customers, they'll have like, you'll see their LinkedIn, it'll be like LeanData certified. And you're like, wow, that's pretty awesome. And again, it builds that intuition around that. So
I love the community that you've really built around it. And I think the thing that stands out to me really is how you got to that point where, how did you, I think you guys have been around for 10 years now, to get to that stage where you've got people that have gone from company to company to company. Is there something, or perhaps a better way to approach this is, what do you think the secret sauce is to, creating a product that people love and, because that's getting someone to love your product isn't something that you can force them to do, right? It comes from a certain place.
Yeah, so I think it's I think customer first is one of our cultural values. The second one is win as a team. And so when we think about it, it's making sure our teams are very collaborative and we're sharing the freedom. It's not about sales, closing a deal, selling ice to Eskimos. It's the whole value chain, right? And so everyone gets to when we win a viral deal, it's because we did every step right, from the initial marketing to the sales process to the implementation to the product development. It all has to come together because there's no BS here, right? The customer is actually fully appreciating it. And so I think that's a big part of we have a very collaborative culture for that reason, is so that we're hitting upon all those value chains to drive that, and just remembering that, putting the customer at the center and treating them right. In the pandemic downturn, we were proactive with some customers that got hit hard, and we went there and we want to restructure our contract because we know that you got hurt by this. And some of those customers, a big one was like Toast, they had a huge downsell and they rebounded, and then we rebounded with them. And I think, by being proactive there and not being like, well, you signed this contract, that's it, right? It didn't end up hurting us because we rebounded with them, and they're a bigger contract than when we were before the pandemic. So,
yeah, I'm really intrigued to dig into a bit more like what your revenue process looks like, and I guess to give some more actionable examples of how that works, really. So could you touch on really how your revenue team was structured originally? And perhaps we don't have to go all the way back 10 years, right? But I'm interested to understand how it's kind of evolved to the maturity level that you guys are now.
Yeah, so I think our revenue teams kind of reflect a lot of kind of the what you see on the tech company. So I think we have a big SDR outbound team, and that's partly because of category creation. So there aren't a lot of people, like I said, searching for our domain names, and so we have to go out there and educate them. So SDR team is a big part of that today, and I think on that team, I think the thing we do is, again, look for people who are hungry, hypo, ambitious. Some of our best AEs, CSMs, AM, solutions consultants all came from the SDR team. And so we kind of I've been told that the new SDR managers actually track how many people have been promoted out of the SDR team. It's some crazy number. And so it's a great motivator. So the SDR team is the core to it. And then we have a demand gen team that really focus on your digital aspect, AR, PR, and then, events. And again, events was very big for us. Like I talked about OpStars, just because, you need that touch point. And also the other part of that is, if you can bring your customer advocates to an event, and they meet other people, they almost drive folks naturally, right? So that you want to take, if you have a strong base of customers that do love you, you want opportunities to put them in touch with prospects, because they'll obviously believe the customer more than they would believe a salesperson. So the more we can have those interactions happen, and that often happens at certain things like events, and that's why OpStars is a fantastic marriage of all that together. And then, we also do have actually a separate customer marketing team that actually sits under our CX org. And they do the certifications, the trainings. We do a lot of dinner series with these folks. And so anytime we can really bring these champions together, either amongst themselves so they can share best practices, or in touch with prospects, that always brings goodness to us, and either or drives word of mouth or a customer virality as well. So I'd say those are kind of three big buckets. And then we have a pretty traditional sales team that's kind of segmented by size of company, similar to how Salesforce does it, because we're on the Salesforce ecosystem, as well as by region. So,
yeah, I'm really interested to learn a little bit more about your approach with the SDRs, and in fact also with the demand gen function as well, because obviously not all businesses will typically be using the SDRs, and to your point, you're doing a lot of education really of the market. So could you touch on a little bit, firstly, how you came to the conclusion of this is the type of function we need, and this is how we need to structure it, but then also how you went away and actually did it?
Yeah, so I think SDRs were very much at the beginning. I think right off the get go, because we're in category creation, not a whole lot of inbound leads. People weren't searching for it. So I think if within the first 10 hires, we kind of hired 2 or 3 quote unquote AE/SDRs for folks to go outbound with. And I think the key things for us there is just, making sure that they hit their metrics, but also giving them a career path. Like I said, it's like, hey, you got to build your own book of business and then grow from there. The one thing we did do is we're based here in Silicon Valley. Hiring SDRs was really challenging back then. It still is really challenging now. And so I thought one that was interesting was my head of sales back then. He at his previous company had found out that because we're closer to the South Bay, and South Bay is really expensive, San Jose. He was like found people who went to high school locally because they're probably living at home. So that's why they have an affinity to that. So he found these like high school people who had gone to high school. They'd already graduated from college, right? And so he found that vein of people, and just through referral networks, they would refer their friends, and so we built a class of folks who had just like lived in the area. Know each other, and then over time, I think what you saw is, not all folks work out. I mean, being an SDR is a very, very hard job. But as people had success and they got promoted to AEs and other positions, then it can build upon itself. And then we would point to folks who came in and be like, you want to learn from those folks. So initially it was very mentorship. The old AE, the AEs who had been successful mentored the SDRs, and over time it's kind of gotten more of a structure, and you have a middle management layer, and so it's more about not like necessarily one-to-one apprenticeship, but more of a system, and being like, hey, here's all the people who've gone to all these different roles, and they've oftentimes pioneered new roles. So like, we were looking for an account management team. We got in our customer base to a certain size that we needed a professional team to really go up there and cross sell and upsell. The AM came from the SDR team. Most of the initial people on that team also came from the SDR team. Our AM had actually gone to become an AE, found that wasn't a good fit, and then he became an AM, and that team regularly crushes it in terms of their quota, like 200-300%, and he's just a homegrown talent.
Yeah, I love the only way I can describe it sounds like almost like a conveyor belt of talent coming through, right? Where you kind of cut your teeth very much in the SDR role, and then it's the case of, okay, where is this person going to be best placed? So, do they go on to become an AE? Perhaps do they go on to become an AM? So that brings me on to my next question then is, how do you then keep these people? What's the secret to actually retaining them and showing, this is the place to be?
Yeah, I think it's just showing them that there's that career growth, right? I mean, in onboarding, I onboard every employee. There's a small session with me that we talk cultural values, and we have a value called act like an owner. And I always bring up the SDRs, and I'm just like, hey, we want folks to think of this as a career, not a job, right? And the SDR folks, we want you to think about, where do you want to go next? We don't think our SDRs want to be there for the rest of their lives as SDRs. It's kind of like in the old days, probably 2 years. Now it's kind of 18 months. The best ones maybe a year, although we kind of prefer 18 months before they get promoted. So it's like, hey, if you want to figure out what you want to do next, we're going to ask a little bit more of you. Think about that. So if you're interested in being an AE, take opportunities, sit in on calls, learn the product more, right? It's not just being about an SDR, it's being about what you want to do next. If you want to be solutions, get Salesforce certified, get LeanData certified, right? Learn the product in a much more detailed so you can talk about that nuance. So I think for us, it's really just trying to point them to aligning them with where they want to go and what the company can help do that. And over the years, once you've seen that success story, people can see that. Now, the challenge is you have to manage well in terms of making sure it's like, hey, like, this is what you need to make that jump. And if there's a gap, you want to make sure that you're communicating that early on, because you don't want someone to get to there and be like, well, you promised me this, and we have to be like, no, it's only if you reach these certain bars. And so you want to have those conversations early so people can course correct and make the adjustments. But generally speaking, we want to make sure our top talent, right, stays within the company, and that provides a whole nother justification for your SDRs. They're not just cold calling and stuff like that. They're the future leaders, the future best AEs, the future best, it's like CSMs, the future best AMs in the company. And so that makes it more homegrown, and also why we are willing to invest more in that program, but also train them and work them up. So
I was going to say, I love that that the customer first approach that you take, to your users, very much the same ethos is consistent with the teams that you have as well. So if we get a little bit more specific about some of those teams, I know, coming from a really a data-driven background, you're a big advocate of RevOps teams, and I'm keen to dig into that a little bit in terms of, I guess, firstly, is that a function that when you first started, you were like, yep, we're going to need this from the very beginning? And if so, what did that look like at the beginning? What were they responsible for? And what kind of evolution has that now gone on to where you are today?
yeah, so actually, I wish I had that foresight. Actually, it's actually involved with the industry. So in the
Yeah.
initial time, we didn't really have a whole lot of sales ops, partly because of the nature of our product. We had a lot of people who were Salesforce admins, Salesforce certified on our product team. So it was actually, we didn't actually create this function till much later on. I wish and advise other companies to start it a whole lot earlier. Today, we do have a RevOps team that actually reports into my COO. And so we make it truly cross-functional. So within RevOps, there's sales ops, there's markups, there's CX ops, and those types of folks. One interesting thing about most of our RevOps team, and this talks about customer virality, a lot of the people on that team were former customers of LeanData. So we actually got to work with folks and we're like, wow, they're really good. Let's bring them into this team. And we're not poaching, but at the right time they would call us and like, yeah, I'm thinking of what doing next. I'm like, we have a role here. So most of that team across the functions have used LeanData at previous companies, folks that we've gotten to know and have brought in. So kind of there's a huge LeanData on LeanData initiative internally, and those guys are kind of our forethought and experts. And oftentimes with customers or thought leadership, we will highlight these folks because we know that they're kind of best in class and also know our product and know our ecosystem and tech stack really, really well. So that's one tip. I know hiring for RevOps is really challenging. If you're fortunate like us being in the industry, that's one way we try to solve it. But I think it is a really important thing. I do think being cross-functional, and I think it's also helped moving it out of just sales and moving it into a central org under our COO, who was used to actually be a head of RevOps at another customer, and so that allows it to give that cross-functional knit layer. It's primarily sales and markups, but recently we've really started investing in CX ops, and so that allows us to look at the buyer journey across the whole thing, like you said, being data-driven and process-driven, and we kind of always have this analogy of like, it's like a relay race, and you got to make sure you hand off the baton, and that happens when the teams work well together, and if dropping the baton is like dropping a deal, you got to make sure that that's as smooth as possible.
Mm. I think the other great thing of bringing on people into your team that are actually, previous customers of LeanData, I would assume is actually you're bringing in people that have been using your own product, right? So it makes it very easy to take this approach of, sipping at your own champagne, because you're bringing in people that are like, yeah, I know exactly how I want to integrate this and actually use it within my own like workflows and processes, right?
Yeah, no, and that's not always been the case. A number of years ago, we didn't, and we're just like, that's missing. We're not optimizing our own self. There was a period where someone was like, I want to show LeanData. And they're like, no, we don't have a good instance. I was like, no, I got to change this. Like, we got to be people who, like you said, sip our own champagne, believe in it at most, right? And we want to use that from a customer first perspective. That's usually the first customer we go to. We have this new product idea. Is that a pain point? We want to go to our RevOps organization and have them give feedback around that, and be like, okay, they're best in class, and so that we get the feedback as quickly as possible and having that internal shop. And so that's important. Like, for example, I do trust our RevOps team. Like, ops starts when we're looking at the agenda, and I'm like, we did one contest. We're like, which do you think is the best topic that's going to win? And I voted on some, and our RevOps team voted on some, and lo and behold, they won. And I was like, got it. You guys do persona our own customers, and it doesn't matter that I'm CEO. I may not actually have the best perspective from those folks, and I appreciate trusting them to know what our customers are thinking.
do you have a way of like facilitating those feedback loops? Perhaps between and particularly from the first perspective. Do you have is it the culture that means that this flow of information is just going around like quite naturally and organically, or did you feel that you need to actually build a kind of workflow where it's okay, a customer said this, let's make sure that this is, that feedback has been communicated to the product team and it's making its way to the marketing team, so on and so forth?
Yeah, so I'd say many years ago when we were smaller, it was natural. Like everyone kind of brought together. I think COVID and remoteness made it a lot harder. And so I'd say we're in the process of building out those processes a whole lot better to make sure of it. A lot of it, the culture does encourage it a lot, but you're right. You have to layer on the processes to encourage that. I do think, things that we have done is, we have done podcasts where we encourage folks to interview our best customers. Both my CMO and CXO, chief customer CCO, both run podcasts. We're constantly talking to our customers. I personally seek at events to do dinners and try to seek their attention and try to understand what their feedback are. We do something where company meetings, every other company meeting, will bring in a customer and we'll interview them just like this, but it's in front of the entire company, and so people can constantly see what the customers say. And there's always this question at the end: you have the entire LeanData company in front of you. Is there any feature requests or anything you wish we would do better for you? And I love that. We don't know what they're going to say, but it's almost like, hey, look, you have the entire company thinking about this, and so that kind of instills this idea of, hey, we always want to be interacting, talking to our customers, and kind of building those bonds, and then making sure that, I think the last thing culturally is we don't try to think like a CEO. I don't think I always have the best answer. And so similar to the RevOps thing, I encourage people, if you're hearing something from us, raise it. We'll never get upset. If you're bringing us customer data, we are always willing to listen. I sometimes think, a frontline implementation consultant or SDR, you may know if there's a shift in the marketplace faster than me because you're taking so many more calls than I am, right? And so I'm very open-minded to listening and understanding that. And if we can piece that data with what other people are saying, that's a more valuable data set than my limited experience. I do try to talk to customers as much as possible, but given my schedule, I'm not going to be able to get as many touch points as my teams are going to be able to do. So I do think there's the cultural aspects to it, and we do try to imbue some things, but it's can always, I'm an industrial engineer by training, so processes are never perfect. You just constantly improve it. So I'm like, hey, I don't think we're done. We're just going to keep on working on it.
I love the idea of giving a platform to a customer to come into one of your company meetings, then be like, oh, I've been waiting for this feature for like 12 months. This is finally my chance. And just the thought of just a few people in the room going, oh no, no, not this one.
Exactly.
So something I'm actually quite intrigued to know, and I think, correct me if I'm wrong, you were probably fairly ahead of the curve 10 years ago, coming up with the idea of LeanData and this idea of really being quite data-driven. A whole decade has passed since then, and this whole digital transformation of marketing arguably was happening then, sales is arguably happening at the minute, and we'll get on to customer success, right? And to an extent, that's happening at the minute as well. Do you think we're very much still in the early adopter stage of that? And perhaps if we talk about sales specifically, or do you think it's moving now towards being that early majority?
You know what? One thing we're seeing is it depends on what industry and segment you're in. So I would say certainly if you look at the fast-growing, more SaaS, tech-oriented companies, right, they've bought a lot of tech. So I think there's this notion that they're almost drowning in tech. And we're really when we're working customers there, it's how do you make your tech stack work better for you? How do we integrate? How do we be more partner-driven? How do you work with ourselves plus the marketing vendors plus the tech sales vendors, and how do we actually work better? So that's one challenge. There's a whole nother set of folks who are some very, very large companies in different industries outside of tech where they have tech drought, right? And quite frankly, a lot of the tech that we've been pushing in the sales methodologies and go to market, things like, speed to lead or account based may not work for them. And so I'd say there's a whole segment out there that's just getting onto the bandwagon now. And we as an industry may have to really adapt our technology to meet their go-to-market processes, right? So for example, the Foresters have been talking about these things like demand unit waterfall, B2B revenue waterfall, buying groups, right? And we're seeing a lot more demand from those folks in that industry. And I don't think necessarily account-based may work for them. So if you take someone, a big company like Siemens, they've kind of sold to everyone, right? Now it's about getting share of wallet and penetrating more. And so for them, account-based is like, I already know that account, but how do I get more of my products into that account? It's a different motion than how a lot of us smaller, fast-growing companies think about. We're always like, how do we land, right? These people are thinking much more about that expand motion, and they may have to reconfigure their technology stack, or us as vendors have to be adaptable to what they need. So I see this really interesting two different ICPs and how they're using tech and processes, and the challenges are quite different. So that's my thesis right now as I've gone out there and talked to these two segments. They don't look the same in my mind.
Yeah, no, I would concur with that, where very much, and in our world, it's very much a similar situation where sometimes we'll talk to people and, they're using like 20 different tools in their tech stack, and actually they just don't know how to make sense because they've got so much data to play with. And it's like, okay, now how do I actually turn this into some action, right? And then there's others that I go away and speak to, and it's like, yeah, we just have a CRM still, and it's like, it's amazing, like that is still the case, right? But to your point, there's often, and that's really the joy of this podcast very much of the time, is that we bring people on, and at whole different scale and sizes, the function of it is so different. So some are still running like sales operations, huge like multinational companies, and then others are much smaller and don't run it whatsoever, right? And still aren't there yet. So I completely agree that actually it's very much based on size and then by industry.
Actually, and then speaking of that, like the classic one is RevOps. So RevOps is in the tech industry, people are like, hey, we've all adopted it. That's the way to go. You go to the large multinationals outside tech, they have not adopted RevOps, and I think it may be very challenging for them to adopt it because of their history, their organizations. It may not make sense, right? And so that would be a classic example of a term that's widely used in one place, and it may be the wrong approach in another case. So sorry.
Yeah, no, and they're the legacy things that you have to overcome, right? Where I think I had a guest on a couple of weeks ago that was talking about, from who owns the CRM kind of perspective, the thought of passing over from IT, from a data security perspective, then over to RevOps is like, oh my god, terrifying thought, right? And so naturally you have to overcome a lot of those barriers, but that's all different ways that tech providers obviously have to adapt in that situation. And by the sounds of it, I'd be interested to know, do you work with any companies like that? And I guess, would your thesis of how you start to work with them, do you look at it from the perspective of, right, well, let's just have a conversation, let's understand what their world looks like and understand how we could fit into this, and then start to take some of these learnings into, here's how we could potentially target other accounts moving forward?
Yeah, no. As we've kind of grown, we are starting to work with some of our largest enterprise companies out there. Your Googles, Metas of the world. I mentioned like Siemens is a one, and they really do. Sometimes, like I said, some of the large enterprises act more like small ones and are learning, but other ones in different industries are quite different, where we're starting to talk to companies in healthcare, financial services. And so for us, I think oftentimes being customer first, we are listening to them, we're understanding them, and we see that their similarities are more closer to them than necessarily, like I said, how some of our other companies are working. And we are adjusting our processes, our sales processes. I think oftentimes, in the fast growing companies, it's kind of like, hey, they want to see a demo very very quickly. They're like, I get this. I just want to see a demo. I want to understand how it works, especially when you're talking to someone who's sophisticated like RevOps. There's other cases like, no, don't do a demo, right? You got to understand their processes. You might have to do a workshop on site. Bring together the disparate parts of their organization is more important. It's a much more involved, much more traditional enterprise sales process. So I think for us, we are starting to recognize these in our staffing teams and are adjusting our sales process and the whole funnel accordingly, right? Maybe even the pricing has to be different, right? So one wants to price on a growth perspective. The other is more like platform pricing, right? Yeah. They want to know what I pay year after year, multi-year deals, and those type of things. So,
penultimate question, Evan. If you could, taking what you know now from the past 10 years, go back in time, was there one thing that you would do differently? Or would you do it all the same?
Most steps would have been the same. I don't think I would have done too much different. I think one thing I might have done that we're doing now is as these other tech vendors are, the sales tech, MarTech, we've grown up with a lot of companies out there. I think I would have been a little bit more partner-centric earlier. So I think there was opportunities to really, like I said, with as companies have grown, now knowing which were the ones that really took off. I mean, there are others that, fell by the wayside. But I think we would have probably focused a little bit more on business development, partner management. I mean, I think like something like Crossbeam is fantastic, which allows us to really quickly check who has connections with each others. And so I think I would have started building our ecosystem a little bit earlier, and that may have identified some adjacencies, product adjacencies that were like, wow, that really works really well with ours. So for example, we recently launched a product called Book It that's in the kind of the appointment scheduling space. And we're just like, that plus routing makes a ton of sense. Right. I think if we had been a little bit more ecosystem centric, we may have launched that maybe 2 years ago. Right. And so I think maybe not, maybe a year ago. But at the same time, I think those opportunities are now where we're focusing a lot. Where internally, I call it. Some people don't get it. I have a notion of 1 + 1 = 3, which is basically our solution for something like Epsta or something like that. Hey, how do we provide even more value than standalone each of our individual products together? And so that's probably something I wish we'd have done more like 5 years ago rather than like about a year ago. We really marched down that path.
I love that. Final question. If you could recommend one book to other revenue leaders, what would it be? So that could be fictional, non-fictional, however you want to take it.
That's a good question. I think maybe given that where we're going right now and the economy keeps on swinging back and forth, maybe Ben Horowitz's book, The Hard Things About Hard Things. I may have gotten the title a little bit off, but I do think people need to understand that, times can shift very, very quickly. And oftentimes, when I look for executives, I want someone who's going to be in that I want to be in the foxhole with me, right? Not just folks who just are only there for the good times and bail. You want people to be able to have the good times and bad times, because it is a marathon, not a sprint. Now that let's be clear, co-founder and I didn't think we'd be doing this for 10 years, but now having seen that, there's ups and downs. We want folks who want to play the long game and aren't there just to drive short-term activity, and quite frankly could be bad behavior. So I think seeing what it was like in the .com bust, and how you persistence and creativity gets you through that is a good thing for everyone to see. Especially who knows what's going to happen 2 months from now, 6 months from now. But that'd be my book for a recommendation.
Excellent recommendation. Evan, thank you so much. Before we go, if anyone wants to learn a little more about you, connect with you online, check you out, where can they find you?
I mean, LinkedIn is best. Maybe I'm old school by now, so LinkedIn's a great way to connect, as well as I think Definitely. I talk about ourselves also on our website, www.leandata.com. I love being part of Silicon Valley, sharing best practices around ops or entrepreneurship in general. So
awesome. We'll put links to that and your book recommendation down in the show notes. Evan, thank you so much again for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you today. And to everyone listening, thank you so much. We'll catch you next week.
Thanks so much for having me.